Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Marco, Marcela, how are you doing this afternoon, morning, and evening for people in the, opposite ends of the world?
I'm good. I'm ready to show Death May Die to the public.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Hello, everyone.
Good to have everyone here. Chat, good to see everyone showing up this morning. And again, whatever time you might be in. We are here today. I am Michael Shinall, Design Director at CMON. I'll be your host today. And let's go ahead into the stars of this show here. Don't focus on me. We have Marco Portugal, the lead designer for Death May Die. Marco, a little bit about yourself.
Well, I designed Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown, and I'm back for Forbidden Reaches. And I also designed Massive Darkness 2, Hellscape. And I developed a lot of games like Gizmos and Monolith. Yeah, I worked on a lot of games for CMON. I've been here for 8 years.
Marco is one of our oldest and most trusted employees and is basically the safeguard for everything internal that is Cthulhu Death May Die. Joining us here as well from the production team, we have Marcela. Marcela, I can never pronounce your last name correct, so I'm not going to try. I'm sorry.
It's okay, no problem. My name is Marcela Fabreti. I am a producer here at CMON. I've been part of the team for a little over 6 years now. I am the producer for Death May Die Fear of the Unknown. I will be the producer for Forbidden Reaches. So very happy to deep dive into madness once again. I'm going beautifully insane as one should with this game, and a big fan of the game line as well. I am also the producer for Zombicide Second Edition and a few of the expansions that you guys have been seeing on retail right now. So Rio de Janeiro, Fort Hendricks, Washington, D.C. And yeah, I've been working on a lot of stuff, but Death May Die surely has taken a special place in my heart and my mind and my spirit.
Yes, almost like the roving insanities that we're going to get into discussing today. Something I just want to point out before we move along, our chat just did point out that we are apparently the 3 M's here. So congrats, we are less than 5 minutes in the chat and we have a team name. Great.
Yay!
Well, we have our introductions out of the way, but there is one more element of this. We actually still have to introduce the real star of today's show, Cthulhu Forbidden Reaches. We have a fantastic trailer for you guys, and hopefully it will not lead to too much lingering madness. But let's go ahead and roll this trailer here and get this party started. Forbidden Reaches, even more Cthulhu than all the previous ones. More Cthulhu than you can handle. And we are going to dive into some of the forbidden secrets of Forbidden Reaches. But before we do that, just some technical notices here. I know everyone loves this, but everything you're going to see is a work in progress and subject to change before final release. You guys know the drill here. But with that being said, I think we should dive into some cool specifics here about what to expect in this new campaign.
Yeah.
First thing we have here, and Marco, I'll let you take this away, but we have the novel features of Forbidden Reaches. First, coming up with some new generic skills for the investigators.
Yeah, so we had like a pool of 6 generic skills for the other boxes, and now we're releasing 4 more basic skills, and every investigator in this new season has at least one of them. So I'm going to talk about them a little bit here. So you have Mystic Mending, which is a new skill that allows you to spend Mystic tokens. That's a new token that we have in the game to heal stress or wounds, whatever you like. You can discard a token to heal. And every time you roll an Elder Sign on the die, you get one of those tokens. So if you have Mystic Mending, you can start getting those tokens and using them to heal yourself. Of course, as the skill levels up, you can start to heal more and heal other investigators and etc. And one interesting thing about the Mystic tokens is that other skills also use the Mystic tokens. So if your character has a unique skills that uses Mystic tokens, if you gain from Mystic Mending the tokens, you can use on your own skill. For example, Yuki from the example here in the image, she gains at the start of the turn, she gains 1 Mystic token, and she can use 2 of those tokens to place back a Mythos card that you drew back into the bottom of the deck. And you can use both the tokens that she gains from her skill and from Mystic Mending. So it's like a new kind of token that we use in some of the unique skills as well. We have Prowess, a new generic skills that is all about rerolling. So you start with a reroll for attacks, then you gain a reroll that you can use on any kind of roll. And at the end, you have like 4 rerolls for every roll, you know. We have Deception, which is one skill about moving with a monster on your side and not being hit by it. So if you have exactly 1 monster on your space, you are safe. So you can investigate, the monster doesn't attack you. And as you progress this skill, you start dealing wounds to monsters in your space at the end of your turn. And the last new generic skill is the Strength that allows you to push enemies around. So you can move a monster 1 or 2 spaces away and start dealing wounds then at higher levels. That's it. A lot of new skills, and I hope people enjoy it.
Hey, new skills are always great. It adds new flavor to investigators, and investigators change up the dynamics of the gameplay. And speaking about changing up the dynamics of gameplay, this next feature we're going to talk about is actually probably one of the ones that has me personally most excited, and that is the look at the location effects of Forbidden Reaches.
Yeah, so some of the locations have effects related to them, and when you use them, when you have them in the map, when every time you enter this space or at the end of the turn, something happens, like you lose stress, sanity, this kind of stuff. So the episodes now have more interesting the dynamic when you move around, you know. So the tiles can affect the game.
It's one of those things that just breathes more life into the story, and that's one of the things, at least for me personally, about Death May Die that I always liked was just your crafting and forging through this narrative. Not even just the one that's presented to you in the game, but the one that you're making yourself via your choices, your actions. And this is just another one of those things that helps add to that.
Yeah, and now you have to be careful of where you're going next, because you can just like run in a beeline into monsters or away from monsters, because the scenarios are also trying to harm you.
Exactly.
All right. Well, not to linger on one thing too much, but I know the next topic we're going to talk about is one of the most heavily requested features since the inception of Death May Die, and that is the addition of campaigns. Now, for everyone out there who is excited about this is important. Let's listen to Marco here as he explains exactly what to expect here, as there's a wide spectrum of what this could be, and we want people to know exactly what we're getting here, and it is really exciting.
Yeah, so this is the new big mechanic from this box, just like we had like the unknown monsters on the Fear of the Unknown box, now we have this campaign decks. So where you can choose to use the campaign decks to play a series of 3 episodes. And this can be 3 episodes from any season. So you can use episodes from season 1, from Fear of the Unknown, from Forbidden Reaches, and you select 3 of those episodes and you play them in sequence. And any investigator that happens to survive the first episode can be brought to the next episode, and so on. And they even start with already start with a skill for the next episode. So if you survive the first episode, for the next one, your investigator will start already with one upgraded skill. And in the last episode, if you survive both episodes, the investigator will start with 2 new 2 levels in different skills. Not only that, each episode brings new challenges as well. The cultists become stronger, they start with more health and more dice. You start bringing unknown monsters to the game. The unknown monster mechanic that we had on Fear of the Unknown is used here to balance the mechanic, because since investigators are getting stronger, the monsters are also getting stronger as well. And you play these 3 acts of the campaign, all of them against the same Elder One that also gets stronger, gets more health as you go on against this Elder One. So since you can get episodes from any season, there's a lot of combinations that are possible here. So we aim it for modularity here. So you can use any episode from any season and any Elder One to play these. Another important aspect is that each campaign deck, we have 3 in the Fear of the Unknown box, has its own storyline that's happening like behind the scenes in the episodes, that add rules and add like new components to the game. So, for example, we have the Ancient Scepter campaign deck, that you start with this artifact that's a scepter that makes you insane, but is also very good for rolling dice. And as you progress in the campaign, you can choose if you want to keep the artifact or if you want to destroy it, and that might have a consequence on the next episode. That's the kind of stuff that you can expect from these campaign decks.
So not to overhype things, but let's give a little brief summary there. We have, first off, modularity being the name of the game here, just like with most Cthulhu Death May Die things right here. We have our campaign decks that can be used to link together any 3 episodes of your choosing. That is any 3 episodes from this current box or any previous box you have, and probably any from the future as well.
Yes.
We have potentially branching choices, at least in these right here, as evident by your Ancient Scepter. Do we want to actually pursue this thing or just pitch it out, whatever? We have continuous upgrades throughout our games, not only for our characters, but also enemies, including cultists and Elder Ones. That sound like it summarizes the key features there?
Yeah.
Frankly,
and now you have like not only you were being like chased by monsters, trying to fight a group of cultists that are trying to summon an eldritch being into reality. You also need to worry with another group of cultists or another like terrible world destroying thing that's happening in the backstage. You need to worry about and dismantle them both at the same time, and you need to face decisions, and those decisions have consequences. Those can be good, those can be bad, those can be horrible.
Guys, isn't one world-ending threat enough? Do we really need to keep adding more?
Yes.
You're right. I actually am just a big fan of adding more complications to the players. But one other thing I want to mention on here that actually jumped out to me that I like is the fact that as your investigators, if you keep them, they do actually advance through this campaign and storyline. That gives you some extra incentive to maybe kind of keep people alive, as the games are going on. And anything that gives you a chance to just create your own individual story. You've got Rasputin, who's just made it to Act 3 and is just even more insane than everyone else past all this. This is where you're creating those moments that are going to stick with you and your like friends group and everything for years and years to come, and make your own experiences personalized here. So this is a big deal right here, and it's a really cool addition.
If you get attached to your characters, then you're gonna love the campaigns.
Yeah, you're not setting yourself up for pain and heartbreak there at all.
No, it's not gonna hurt in the least.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Cthulhu story. They're all known for happy endings.
And don't worry, if your investigator dies, you can start with a new one on the next episode. There's nothing bad about it. It's fine.
Yeah, and then you can have your memory of your heroic guy who died, and hopefully by the end of the campaign, you'll have a team that at least somewhat remembers the original team. But we can sit here and talk about campaigns probably for the entire rest of this presentation, but we have a lot of other stuff to carry and talk about, and I don't want it to overshadow everything else because we still have a lot of cool stuff to talk about, not limited to one of our new elder ones here, Yig, the Serpent.
Yeah, this one is one of the most requested elder ones from the previous campaign, and we finally have it. And so what these guys does is throughout the game you're like turning into a serpent, so you get scale tokens. The effects from the elder one and from the mythos cards give you scale tokens, and every time you gain a scale token you suffer its effect. It can be a wound, a sanity, or stress, and you suffer the effects of all scale tokens that you already have. So it scales up as the game goes on. And the only way that you can remove those scale tokens is if you perform a trade action. Then you can remove some scale tokens from you and from other investigators in your space. And as the game progresses, everyone will be taking a lot of wounds, stress, and etc.
And when you said trade actions, I thought you meant that the only way you can get rid of them is just by handing them to someone else. So it's like, all right, listen, little girl, you are going to be in charge of holding all of our scales.
Your problem now.
This is your problem here. Congrats.
No, there's no trading of scale tokens, but that's how you remove them from you. When you perform this specific action, you remove them.
One of the things I always love seeing about, like, especially Death May Die, is just that each Elder One does bring new mechanics to the game and really does up that modularity. I know I'm like a broken record in saying that, but I am just a huge fan of that aspect of Death May Die and the replayability that it brings. If there's nothing else anyone wants to say about Yig here, we can move on to our next Elder One, and I'm definitely not stalling for time trying to remember the pronunciation of this one. So is there anything anyone wants to say in closing before we move on?
No, okay, we can go ahead.
Thanks, you guys. I appreciate that. Okay, so we have our Elder One, number 2, Gatanothia. You know what? If I didn't pronounce it right, that's the Lovecraft way. It's not a bug; it's a feature. So, yes. Marco? What can you tell us about Gat here? Because that's what I'm going to be calling it for the rest of this presentation.
I like that nickname. So Gat, as Michael is calling it now. Has a horror track, so it comes with this track that it becomes stronger as the game progresses, and it starts at 1 and can go up to 3, and this determines some effects in the game. So, for example, when that Gat advances, she spawns Gorgs, the minions, right? And the number of Gorg that are spawned is based on the horror track. So if the horror track is on 1, it's 1 Gorg. If it's on 2, it's 2 Gorg. So as the game progresses, the game starts, the horror track starts getting higher, and you start getting more effects from the Elder One. And even some effects, like you take X amount of stress, it's based on the horror track, or the enemy moves X spaces, it's all based on the horror track. So as the game progresses, the game gets harder and harder. There is also a petrify mechanic from Gatanotoa, and when you get petrified, you lose your next action. And if you are already petrified and you get petrified again, you start losing insanity, and that's it.
Petrified being my least favorite status effect in most video games. That was a bad joke. I apologize immediately.
We forgive you. It's okay.
So just peeking at the chat right there, I did see a question here that someone asked, are there any Elder Ones without tentacles? And I just want to briefly say to that, guy, this is Cthulhu. I don't really know what you're expecting here. But anyway, let's move on to the next thing to discuss right here, which, at this point, it almost feels a little vanilla to talk about. And that's insane to me because of just how cool it is, because we are now going to discuss some minor things about the new episodes. And as you know, every episode brings its own mechanics, storyline, bunch of cool stuff. But we're going to leave that to Marco and Marcela to hear to what exactly they want to spoil for you guys.
Yeah, do you want to start, Marcela?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, like Michael mentioned, like each episode is it's an experience on its own. Each episode is its own thing. It has its particular mechanics, its particular objectives that you need to fulfill, and it tells you a different story. So, for example, one of the main episodes that we are like having in the core box, which is also something that's been requested for a very long time, is an episode based in the Mountains of Madness. So we are everything in this core box is about like world and otherworldly exploration. So we are going in Arctic exploration. We are going to the Mountains of Madness. We are exploring pyramids in the Egypt. We are like running from one place to the other of the globe and maybe beyond.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be an archaeological adventure where we might all be insane in the end, but it's gonna be worth it.
And we even have one episode that's Beneath the Waves. Like, it's about a sunken submarine that players have to find the parts of the submarine and to fire the torpedoes. And you have like oxygen tanks that can't run out, or otherwise people start getting wounds and eventually die. And yeah, there's a lot of variety in this time in the setting for the episode. So we are going through a lot of different settings, like the Arctic, the desert, and even
Underwater.
Yes.
We have cool globe-trotting adventures and a world quite literally full of traumas for you to gather and explore. And frankly, we've already spoiled a little bit. So anyone who has any fear of tight spaces, claustrophobia, or drowning and or suffocating to death, hey, we got you covered this expansion.
Yep. And I'm already seeing like many comments. Of course, obviously, I'm not saying like who you are or what are your comments, but many of you are right. Like just you
Hey,
guys know what is coming. You'll be happy when you get it.
as far as the comments go, that's correct. You guys are either right, some of you are wrong, and some of you have no opinion on things. That's a correct statement.
So some of you are like very accurate. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Not cryptic or, and very conclusive. But finally, what else is coming to Death May Die? We have, of course, the new investigators that we talked about. But with that, we have more of the stuff that you guys have come to know and love. We have new relics, new insanities. And, of course, we're going to let, Marcela and Marco here take that away and maybe talk about some of your favorite ones.
Yeah, everything you can expect from a Death May Die core box, you still have in this one, like new investigators, new insanities, everything that's compatible with the other boxes. And we have the unknown mechanic as well, the unknown monsters and unknown relics that were introduced in the Fear of the Unknown box. We still have them here. And yeah, there are a lot of new stuff.
Yeah, we don't really remove mechanics. We adjust them and keep them, or we just simply like increase. So everything that you guys saw and loved in Fear of the Unknown, like the unknown relics and the unknown monsters, they are still here, and we have more of it to add to the collection. So you have more options to play, and of course you can mix and match like all of your decks without any problem. And you just have like, at this point, you have dozens of insanities to choose from. You can pick your favorite.
Overcome, adapt, evolve.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
I'm a big fan of the restless limbs that we can see like in front in this slide. Like, it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Just to note right here, we're trying a new chat program here. So when we mention restless limbs or any other type of insanity here, there's a good portion of the chat out here that's now going to be experiencing that for the rest of the day. Fun fact. So throughout the day, if you happen to have restless leg or arm syndrome or anything that happens, just think back to Marcela here because she is the one that absolutely caused it.
You are all welcome.
Okay, guys, we've talked about some of the kind of broader topics right here, but let's speak to the actual development process that has happened with this campaign. Basically, you know, this is the third campaign that we have done for Cthulhu Death May Die. Every one of them has iterated and added more cool stuff. This one just continues that trend. Not an easy process. So let's hear about some of the background and maybe the specifics if you guys want to talk about that.
Yeah, so when we started discussing, me and Rob, what could be new for this campaign, my first thought was new basic skills, because we need more variety for the investigators. You know, we are like on the hundreds of investigators, and we need new mechanics for them. And I think the basic skills were like a good new addition, so that the investigators feel a lot more unique, you know. And of course, I always wanted something to allow players to play a campaign, you know, play a series of episodes and get a progression about it. And I mentioned it to Rob, and he said, "Why don't you have a deck that has stuff that happens while you're playing the episodes between them?" And I thought, of course, that makes a lot of sense, and we just ran with it, and that's it. And of course, the other ones, we had to choose the ones that made more sense for the game that we haven't already done. And it was like a really interesting process, like choosing the mechanics and which kind of story we wanted to tell in this box, like this one of going through the world and visiting different continents and that stuff.
There is a kind of a subtle theme that appears in at least the last season of Cthulhu, and this one is the last one had those kind of interlinked stories, not too terribly much. Don't want to get into too many spoilers there, just some overarching narrative themes, let's put it like that. This one here, we of course have those themes of globetrotting adventures, and it's neat to see how each of these boxes develop from the initial concepts and just, you know, again, creating that that mountain of madness, name drop right here, building from the original foundations of the core game all the way to where we are now. Marcela, from a production side of things, Cthulhu Death May Die is often touted as one of our most visually stunning products that we release. So what are some of the challenges that come with keeping that standard and then actually just escalating it from the previous iterations?
Well, every time we get to work on a new season, I think the first thing that we need to settle on is like, okay, this is part of the line. This is still what players have and love and want more of, but this also needs to be unique in its own sense. Like this needs to be a particular product, like that in and of itself, it's worthy and enjoyable. So there's a lot of like you mentioned, our artists, like the art team, both are 2D artists and the 3D artists, they are insanely talented. Like we come up with the briefings, we talk to them like, hey, we were thinking of something like that, the description is this, and they come up with the most like amazing, or in this case, I don't know, nightmare inducing things that you're like, how the heck did you think about this? How can it be this good? So we are lucky because we are standing in the shoulders of giants here. We are very lucky to have like a amazingly competent team, and everyone that works in Death May Die, everyone gets like really serious about this game. This is something that people get excited to work on, which is always nice to have.
We always strive to have, you know, some of the best artists, you know, working on our projects here and everything, and it takes a special type of, you know, mindset to craft the unspeakable and indescribable horrors into a format that can actually be visually represented. And, you know, it's it's always fun to see, like, like, oh man, look at this new eldritch horror that they have just birthed from their mind. And then, we'll have, like, they'll go like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm also going to therapy now. Like, whoa, hang on. Maybe hold off on that a bit before, do a couple more seasons before we do that.
For the locations, for example, the maps, they're stunning as usual, but those might be maybe the most different locations that we have so far, just because of the settings. So we are like, oh, hi, amazing artist. Could you please draw a map that is underwater? And he's like, yes, I could. Thank you. So this is just like us, like making things work and overcoming challenges. Sometimes Marco throws some curveballs as well. Like, hey, I had this idea. Wouldn't it be cool? And I am talking about something very specific, and he knows what I'm talking about. You guys will see. As soon as it's on, you'll see what I'm talking about. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be super cool. Like, is it possible? And then we join heads, like, with lots of people from the team. Like, okay, how can we make this in a sense that, like, it works as intended, and it's not impossible. It doesn't look absurd. So it's many, like, those are challenging, but seeing those things, those challenging ideas come to life, it's something like that it's kind of amazing. Really, we got to hold the things in our hands, and we were like, oh my God, this works.
One thing that I like to mention as well is that the development team for this game is the same for the Fear of the Unknown, Leo Almeida and Patrick Fernandez. So they're like have like hundreds of games on their belt now, and know the game inside out and how to balance things and stuff. So yeah, I'd like to shout out to them.
It's always good to see the other team members get called out, because again, this is a full, team effort. While we have, our head of design and development here, for this project with Marco, and our lead producer here, Marcela, there are still a number of people ranging from artists, testers, junior producers, sculptors, everything that you could possibly imagine going to make this project put together. So while we're the ones sitting here talking about this with you today, note that there are just, dozens of people, that are, credited in the background that are actually bringing this project to life.
Yep.
So we have one more big thing to talk about during this presentation, and I just have to ask, are you guys ready to move on?
Yes.
Sure.
All right, let's move on to talk about the next big thing that we have for this campaign, and that is our Godzilla crossovers.
Oh, yes.
In my head, there was some big dramatic music cue, but I realized we don't have that capability, so that was probably just normal sounds. Marcela, thank you for picking up the slack and actually for doing the classic Godzilla noise there. Thank you. That's actually brilliant. Loved it.
I've been practicing.
So as mentioned here, we have our Godzilla crossovers. Let's go ahead and just start here with a sheer size comparison, shall we? The new Megature. Crowdfunding exclusive, stands over 54.5 centimeters tall, which is about 21 inches for everyone in the Imperial world, and with a base of 43 by 45 centimeters. Yes, it's big and it's kind of square. Comes with 2 epic episodes, Godzilla Rising and Godzilla versus Cthulhu, allowing you to have your Eldritch Lovecraft versus Kaiju throwdown. Marco, tell me how excited you are about this, being probably the biggest Godzilla fan in the company.
I'm super excited about it. I mean, we had already done a miniature for Godzilla, and now we have this really big miniature, and it's amazing. Being able to work with these IPs is a very important thing to me. I really like it, and we have 2 different episodes that you can play with it. You can make him retreat. He's destroying Tokyo, and you're building up a plan to make him retreat, or you can make him face Godzilla if you have both, and you are helping Godzilla fight Cthulhu. Helping make Cthulhu go back to where he came from.
So we are focusing on the friendlier to humanity aspect of Godzilla here versus the rampant destroyer. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. In this episode, you're helping him defeat Cthulhu. You know, they are both fighting, but you are destroying the monster that Cthulhu summoned to attack Godzilla and helping destroy Cthulhu.
One thing that I do want to mention, this is a little bit off the cuff, and I might even get a little bit of trouble for saying this part, but I have noticed some people ask like Godzilla in my Cthulhu game. Pff, that doesn't make any sense. And first off, look at the image we have on the screen right here. That absolutely is great. Secondly, though, I don't know. I feel that this is kind of a mindset thing. I feel that this is one of those things that's just really cool and actually does work. Now, we're going to get into a little bit of deep dive here, but I mean, like, as far as Godzilla stuff, we have had instances in comics and various other mediums of him going up against the, not specifically the Cthulhu horrors, but some kind of, off-brand eldritch horrors, including Charles Barkley in a basketball game at one point. So, this actually pretty much fits right here. But other than that, I mean, it's just really fun. It's really cool. Marcela, it also seems like it was a complete nightmare to have to get something like this size and complexity sculpted. So tell us a little bit about that process.
It was, but it was so exciting because like when we first heard of it, like, oh, hey, we're in touch with these guys from Toho, from Godzilla, and we were thinking about Death May Die, and we were like, what? Say that again slower. And everyone was like, no, okay, we've got to have that. And the big Godzilla sculpt was actually like, it exists in the real world. We presented that for the first time in the CMON Expo in Bangkok a few weeks ago. And I see some questions about the size. It is as big as Godzilla. So it takes as much space as it is as big as Cthulhu. I am sorry, I'm going insane.
I think Marcela just promised a 1-for-1 scale model of Godzilla.
Yes. But yeah, it takes, like, if you guys already have the big Cthulhu, it will take as much space as Cthulhu does. So like even the bases, the scripted bases, they are leveled because they are important. They will be very important if you guys are playing the game. And like the episode between like where they two face off, and you can see this image like at the very bottom, there's like a teeny tiny miniature there that it's an up to scale investigator. So this is how tiny you guys are, like the characters are in this face off. So yeah, Godzilla might be fighting Cthulhu, but you need to survive them both. Good luck with that. So it was like, it is very challenging make this sort of product. So even the big Cthulhu, we've already done that before. It was still difficult. And this time we did something like from scratch, and we wanted the base to be part of the story. We wanted to actually like have a map that allows players to move from one place to the next. And okay, I'm gonna hide behind this building. Oh, look, there's an artillery cannon there that I can use. So all the small details that you were seeing, they were like planned and they can be used. And this is something like, it took a lot of work, it took a lot of time, it was very challenging, but the hype was like insanely big. We were all very like, oh my God, we're making a gigantic, we were all very excited to make the small Godzilla, the one we had for Comic-Con this year. This was already like great, but this one, it really takes the cake, I think.
Yeah. So speaking of our tiny Godzilla, not Godzuki, we also do have our Godzilla promo, which is acting as a special gift for our returning backers. So this one here is based on our original 1956 movie. Unique rules allow Godzilla promo to be played as any episode, any elder one. Correct me if I am wrong, Marco, Marcela, this is the same promo rules-wise that was available at conventions earlier this year.
Yes, the exact same rules.
Okay. Game mechanics won't change. So if you guys already have the Comic-Con promo, like it's the same experience. but with this base that you were seeing right there, which is slightly different from what we offered during Comic Con. Like I have mine here. I don't know if like you guys can see. I can do the like influencer zoom, but this is a 3D print, so it's not like the final plastic things. But you can see like we don't have the cool sculpted base that we'll have on this alternative version, and the pose is slightly different. Like his head was a bit like he's looking up more a bit. His arms are posed slightly different. The size is still the same, but we have more cool details. And I don't know, maybe you guys think that the original version looks cooler or the alt version looks greater. I don't know. You can get like whatever you fancy, you will get.
Both of them will be available for you to purchase. And of course, if you are a returning backer, you're gonna get this one for free.
That's right. Absolutely free for this one here if you're a returning backer. And that means that we have Godzillas of all shapes and sizes, as long as the sizes are small and big.
Yeah.
But, again, these are a modular.
What would you guys desire?
Well, there's no medium size Godzilla. I think that would be a reasonable response, but that's fine. That's fine. I have my Galactus here in the background, which I'm not going to show, but the idea of Galactus, Cthulhu, and Godzilla squaring up. I mean, not to say comics haven't done that exact same thing, but well, okay, in the case of Godzilla and Galactus, that get into off topics here, but
just to answer a question from the chat, it's just for Cthulhu Death May Die returning backers. If you backed either Cthulhu Death May Die or Cthulhu Death May Die Fear of the Unknown, you can get this promo for free.
Correct. Yeah. This is welcoming one and all for any of our returning backers from any of the previous Death May Die campaigns. So let's see.
Maybe we could like get into a bit more details about how the free gift will work, because I know that people have got like many questions about that. They're curious about it. We can do that later because we will be addressing questions from the chat later. We could do that now, like whatever you guys prefer.
Well, we were going to save the audience live Q&A section for later, but I think we can go ahead and move on to the audience live Q&A section. Now, some general rules here before we talk about this that I want to lay out. First off, chat. Keep things appropriate. Secondly, chat. Understand something in general. We have Marcela here from production. We have Marco here, who is design development, myself, who is just merely acting as a host. This means that the range of questions that we can answer is limited to those specific fields. Now, while I know that there are people that want to discuss about timetables, deliveries for this project and previous ones, understand we don't have any answers to that. We don't know any of that stuff. And we are here to keep very focused on specific topics of what we're discussing with things related to gameplay, design, development, and production for this campaign. So if you have any other questions, again, we can only answer what we can answer. And secondly, just something to generally address here for those who are saying like, man, you guys are getting Godzilla in my Cthulhu game or Cthulhu in my Godzilla game? Oh, come on, dumbest idea ever. Well, sure, you can think that, but I mean, I would question why do you hate fun? Who hurt you? Anyway, with that being said, let's look at some questions from the chat. And Marcela and Marco, if you see any that you just absolutely want to jump in and answer, feel free to call them out and we'll see if we can't get them pulled up on screen.
Yeah, I think we already have some listed here. So
our magical background controllers have actually been pinging some potentially good questions here to bring up. This is very nice and very well done. Much better than just pulling random questions, which we'll still do. So feel free to throw in those questions there. One that I see right here specifically is Marco as an investigator win.
Yeah, I mean, that would be funny. I don't think I would survive that much.
Wow, that's more self-confidence, Marco. Come on.
Marco,
here's one question.
You know how they work. You know how they will attack next.
Here's two questions that I see.
Anything, we should have plot armor here.
Ooh, plot
Yeah,
armor. That would
only
actually be
with plot armor I can survive, I think. Otherwise, I'd go insane in like 2 turns.
I saw a question here asking about the scale. Are they bigger than Galactus from Zombicide? They are roughly going to be the same size. If you see any pictures of the Cthulhu, the Cthulhu next to our Galactus, they're roughly the same size, and Godzilla will be joining their ranks. Another question I see here: will there be any other special crossover surprises during the campaign? Frankly, we can just talk about surprises in general and the fact that, by definition, they are surprises. So we will not be talking about them today. Don't worry, though. We will have plenty of interesting and fun stuff for you guys as this campaign progresses.
And there's a question if we're gonna have the Cthulhu Rising. It's really a Rising, right? And you're gonna be able to get really a Rising as well. So you can get both Cthulhu and Godzilla in the same pledge.
I would go ahead and consider that a spoiler, but you know what? A very good one right there. So yes, you will get another opportunity to pick up that giant Cthulhu and also the Rayla Rising episode. Sorry, for those who are
in the realm of those specific spoilers, I think we can go ahead and say that everything that was available on the original Death May Die Kickstarter campaign and everything that was available on Fear of the Unknown campaign, they will be available during Forbidden Reaches. So, I missed the first campaign and I never managed to find Scarlet online. It will be available. I really wanted Animal Alive, but I didn't get it on the Fear of the Unknown. You can get those now. Like everything that was made available on these 2 past campaigns, you'll see them now. You'll see them like individually. You will be able to get bundles if you want. If you want to get like the entire Cthulhu Death May Die line, as long as it was part of those 2 previous campaigns. So, for example, I just see there the art book. We had the art book on the first Kickstarter campaign. It will make a comeback. So everything that you saw on Cthulhu Death May Die and Fear of the Unknown, you will see again.
Yes.
That one right there, I feel, is a very important factor for a lot of people. So just to summarize that one and, timestamp this, whatever you might need to. But yes, if it was available in one of the previous 2 Death May Die campaigns, you will have another chance to get it in this new campaign. So for anyone who is a fan of Death May Die, missed out on some things, this is your chance to pick them up. For anyone who is just jumping into the Call of Cthulhu Death May Die hype train, whatever you want to call it, just getting into this wonderful product, this is the fantastic entry point for you, as this is your chance to snatch up everything.
There's a question about
your collection, or you can start your life as a completionist and get everything.
Augment it. Go ahead, buy 2, give one to your friends, keep one as in your trunk for your kids to open up one day randomly and just find and go like, oh man, what is this in Grandpa's secret trunk in the attic?
Like 20 years later, and it's like, oh my god, what is this much of plastic? Was Grandpa in a cult?
In some ways, maybe. But anyway, Marco, sorry, you were going to say something.
Campaign decks, the deck is the same always, but since you have options of what you want to do, branching paths, you can, every time you play the same campaign again, you can choose different things and things will change slightly. So yeah, you have 3 campaign decks, and when you combine them with other episodes, they will feel different,
So yes, just to reiterate how those work is basically you have your campaign decks, you will pick 3 episodes. Now I assume that you can pick those episodes. They're not set at the start of whatever, because you pick whichever one you want to play.
There's one campaign where you always start on the Mountains of Madness episode, but then the other 2 episodes you can choose from any season, But yeah, usually the 3 episodes you can choose any episode however you want, and these make them feel different every time you play them.
And just to reiterate something that was said earlier, is you will play the same Elder one throughout the entirety of your campaign, as they will also be getting progressive new benefits and abilities as the campaign goes on.
Yeah.
And addressing also the questions that we've been having about the free Godzilla and how it will work. I see some questions about it working on group buys, about how can I be recognized as a returning backer. How can I make sure that I have my freebie? Like, what do I do? Basically, we will track isn't kind of a aggressive word, but we will check by your email. So if you are pledging Forbidden Riches with the same email address you pledged any of the other Cthulhu Death May Die, either the original Death May Die or Fear of the Unknown, if you're using the same email address, we've got you. We recognize you as a returning backer. If for any reason you are using different emails, which is completely possible, you'll have a form to fulfill, and you'll fill this form, you'll reach out to us, and we also get you covered. Oh, but I am making a group buy with me and my family and my friends and my dog. Can everyone get a free Godzilla? Yes, you will be getting a free Godzilla for each pledge level that you add to your order. So if you're getting like 20 pledge levels, you will be getting 20 Godzillas. Oh, I am not a returning backer. Can I get the cool alt figure? Yes. Can I also get the Comic Con figure? Also yes. So everyone gets the Godzilla if they so desire.
Question I have, Marcela, and you may or may not be able to answer this one specifically. We are releasing how long the campaign is going to be running for?
Yes, it will, as you guys already know, it will be starting tomorrow, and it will be running until December 18th. And after that, we will have late pledges open. So like it's the 19th of December. Oh my God, I lost it. I don't have an opportunity anymore. No, you do. We will get the late pledges open for quite some time now to make sure that everyone that for any reason didn't manage to pledge during the actual campaign, they will still have the opportunity to back it later on.
Yep, that is something just for anyone who is new to GameFound and how that works. The campaign will run to its set date. After that point, campaign will be done. Anything that we have unlocked stretch goal wise or cool stuff in that time, that is what you get. Then after that, it will become a chance to late pledge. There is no difference in late pledging versus pledging during the campaign, aside from the fact that you are not helping us unlock any of that cool stuff. But when it comes to like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to have, all the funds I want to get this cool stuff by, December 19th, that's not an issue. The pay window for that extends for quite some time beyond the campaign, and GameFound also offers numerous pay in chunks options. Into some of the technicals there, and I don't think that that's really needed here. Sorry, Marcela.
Just to make sure, like, because I may have just to correct something, the late pledges will not be immediately open. So you guys might need to wait a couple of weeks. The opportunity will still be there.
Right, they will be coming. I see a question that's been asked a lot of times about offering the game in multiple languages. Guys, that is fully dependent on our translation partners and whatever legal do's and don'ts we can and cannot do during the campaign. This is always something that gets brought up, and people are under some impression, and I guess just from generally not knowing that, we can just do anything we want. That's not the way the corporate world works. So, if we can do something, we will. But if we can't, if it's left up to our translation partners across the world, that falls under their jurisdiction. It is completely out of our hands, especially out of the hands of myself, Marcela, and Marco here. Even though between you and I, Marco shadow controls everything. So another question I saw that is very relevant here, though, Marcela, for you, is they are asking, is there a way to, if I want to purchase additional of the free Godzilla promo, will that be an option?
Do they mean the small Godzilla, the big Godzilla? Well,
I suppose both.
In any case, the answer is yes. Like, they will all be offered as add-ons. So like, I want 55 big Godzilla megatures and 56 Cthulhu megatures because I'm giving one as a gift. You can. Like, it's okay. You can do that.
This one here is a question I see that is a little more specific, and I feel a ballpark answer is fine here. But how many new investigators and relics will be in the new season? I mean, speaking about our core box here, Marco, what can people expect? Just rough numbers if you don't have the specifics.
I believe it's 10 investigators and 8 new relics, if I'm not mistaken.
I can pull the numbers here if
I remember that the relics, I think it's a little bit less than the Fear of the Unknown, but the investigators is the same. 10 new investigators.
We have 10 relics, we have 6 unknown monster cards, and we have 10 investigators and 8 insanities.
That's it.
And all those, of course,
you guys can quote me on that. And then like the future comes and like, why do I have like 12 of this?
Just completely undermining my everything subject to change notice at the very start. So that is a Marcela guarantee. You heard it here first. All right, guys, we have time for just a couple more questions here. So let's get some good ones here from the audience. In the meantime, while we're looking for them, Marco, Marcela, why don't you go ahead and tell us what your favorite investigator from the new core box 10 number is?
Okay, can I start? So
Yeah,
there's
sure.
the twins, Anna and Belle. It's my favorite one because I mean the twins from The Shining, you know, and they have like a cool mechanic of you have 2 insanities. It's very interesting.
I really like CMON, which is the detective. I love her style. Like I can feel like she's the one who will get everything solved. Like I will be there, like panicking over like a thousand of problems, and she'll be like, no, but you just need to do this thing, and there it's solved. I would trust Simone with my life, probably.
This is something I like about the spread of investigators that we have, is that you can do the whatever you want your power fantasy to be, such in the case of Marcela here, you know, wanting to be the hard grizzled detective that can always get things done, always has an answer, or Marco's power fantasy of playing twin little girls who are going and fighting Cthulhu. I have to say, I am a fan of like the more quirky ones as well, and so the twins is definitely one of my favorites. Just seeing like, oh, you mean I can play psychotic little girls that are going and fighting eldritch monsters? I mean, that's a selling point to a game for me. If you said that at the game store, I'd be like, hell yeah, brother, sign me up.
And I don't know about you guys, but I have a lot of headcanons in my head because we have to work on the character bios, and we have to, like, there is a story around the characters, so their skills make sense. Like their skills are within reason. Like, well, why this kid has like this weird skill that apparently has nothing to do with her, and we need to make sense of that. So while I'm working on that, I am creating like hella fanfics in my head. Like I could probably tell you guys like what the firefighter was doing when he was like 12 years old.
Opportunities to create stories and, you know, unique gameplay and unique game sessions with you and your friends, or playing solo. You know, this is something that's great about Cthulhu Death May Die. And this new season is just going to add more cool locations, more cool mechanics, more story elements, a campaign ability to, you know, spread across and link everything together, more Elder Ones, more of just everything that people like, and then things that they didn't even know that they needed. So it's going to be very big. It's going to be very exciting. Marco, Marcela, before we head off today, you guys want to mention what you think just the coolest thing that people have to look forward to for this campaign, and any closing thoughts?
Well, for me, the coolest thing is Godzilla, but yeah.
He's biased. He's very
guys,
biased.
I really cannot express how, for years and years, how big a fan Marco is of Godzilla. Marcela, what's the single coolest thing in this campaign?
I can't talk about it yet. It's a spoiler. I am sorry.
What?
But chances are like next live I will be here like losing my cool, freaking the hell out because I am so excited for it. I'm not joking. Like I'm not exaggerating. Like we have my favorite things are yet to be unlocked in this campaign, and I am like, I'm not cool about that. Like, I'm very excited. I'm not chill.
That being said, guys, we will be back for more of these live streams. You know, we have our weeks in review that's coming up for the campaign, and anytime something cool happens, we will be back to talk about it. So you can see the excitement blooming in real time when Marcela gets to finally divulge what her favorite thing for this campaign is. And as
I'm gonna geek out for like 10 minutes, and you guys will try to stop me, and I won't let you, and everything will go like off the rails, and it's gonna be terrible. I can't wait for it.
This is another Marcela guarantee. So if it is in any way underwhelming here, guys, you have one person to blame. So it has to be just the biggest geek out we have ever seen on a Cool Mini CMON live stream here. So no pressure. Guys,
you guys will have to deal with that. I am sorry in advance.
Never apologize for being a fan of something cool. That being said, guys, we are going to wrap this up for today. We are going to leave you with some hearty goodbyes here, and also going to show you the trailer one more time for anyone who missed it at the beginning. Just to quell expectations here, guys, it's the same trailer you saw before, just for those who showed up late. So no super secret reveals this week, but we will be back tomorrow with a wealth of new information, new cool stuff as our campaign launches. Marcela, Marco, thank you for joining us here today. Everyone,
thank you, Michael. Thanks, everyone, for having us. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
See you, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.